Chris Belfry again from belfrywellness.com. I'm a human potentialist because I see the potential in each and every one of you. I want to thank you for anyone who's been following my video series. We're coming down to the last few days, and each kind of day is getting a little bit bigger, better idea, or bigger idea, and it kind of accumulates a lot of the stuff we've already talked about. And today, we're going to be talking about taking responsibility. I know that's kind of a term that, it's been thrown out there, but what does it actually mean to take responsibility for one's life? What's the big deal about it? The big deal really, it moves us from a place of victimhood or blame to a space of movement forward, a movement of having some control in your life, or victory really in your life. And it puts us, it kind of puts us at the cause. So you're at the cause of the issue, and from the cause, then you can move forward in the situation or move from it because, this is what caused it, then I got to do this. There's a fire, I got to clean up. There was a mess, I got to clean it up. Rather than, and not be at the effect of it. Meaning, there's a mess now, who's going to clean it up? And that really means is that, that you don't really accept that you're creating your life, you're reacting to it. And really what response means, you're responsible. You're able to respond. So that's really the word. You're able to respond to what's happening in your life rather than be the victim or react to it. Someone spills milk on the floor, you react by getting upset rather than just like, oh, here's a mess, I'm going to be responsible, I'm going to clean it up. And meaning where someone bumped you and you spilled the milk. You're at the cause, blaming them for bumping you rather than just, look, milk spilled, I'm going to clean it up. And then you're able to appreciate things for things that happen to you, for you. Things happen for you, not necessarily to you. And if you know my story, I could easily, having a kidney disease, I could easily fall into the victimhood of, why me, feel sorry for myself, rather than just take control of like, look, this is what happened, and I'm just able to respond. It's not that I'm, say that I can be responsible for a car accident or I'm responsible for the kidney disease. I can understand like, hey, this is where it's at. I'm responsible for, where I'm feeling, and now I'm going to move forward from it. So it really puts me in a choice to choose how I respond to my life or my challenges that happen in my life, and then be able to move in that driver's seat. So I've had kidney disease, and I'm not gonna lie. There's some times where in the moments, there was a bit of victimhood, and I worked through that, and I'm going to teach all that stuff, as we move, and the technique to clear a lot how I move through it. But I got out of that and put myself in the driver's seat like, okay, this is where I'm at. Where do I need to go? And it was more looking for alternatives, where it's trying to heal myself, looking for a kidney option, meaning a kidney transplant. It was really just putting me in the driver's seat of my own journey. Because realistically, I'm the driver in my journey. This ship is driving where I'm taking it, rather than, the ship is going and I'm just along for the ride. How much fun is a cruise if you have no idea where you're going? I mean, sure, it sounds fun, but what if that cruise takes you to, places you don't want to go, rather than say, look, I've always wanted to go to, Greece, or I always wanted to go to Spain. I've always wanted to do those things, but you didn't really plan. Now you're going to the Congo, you're going to, countries that you didn't really want to visit. So it's really putting you in the driver's seat of where you're going. And as we know, I've already shared that we're energy, our thoughts are energy, we're energy, our feelings, our words are all basically just energy. And because of that, really creates a bit of, we have control of how we feel, we have control of how we think. And so we just want to meet our experiences or our thoughts with our experiences, our energy or thoughts, and feelings with experiences that will give us the same energy. Meaning, if you can get congruent rather than stay in victimhood, you kind of stay stuck and not really moving forward. Whereas if you can get responsible, you can get congruent of, I'm sick, but here's what I'm going to do to get myself unsick. I spilled milk. Here's what I'm going to do to get out of it. I don't like my job. Here are the steps I'm going to do to get out of it. rather than just stay stuck in, I have this job, but, it provides me with security, it provides me with this, but I really hate it. Not doing anything different, right? So here's some things you can do to, take responsibility for your life and be 100% responsible for it. Know that you are 100% responsible for your thoughts, your feelings, your words, and your actions. And so by taking responsibility for those gives you the control, and you're the in charge, you're the driver's seat of this ride that you're going on. And whatever happens to you, you respond to it and you deal with it. And then you move forward rather than just say, oh, this happened, and be stuck with it. And know you're responsible for your words. And so you may say things and, maybe that's maybe disparaging to somebody else. You be responsible for that. You can, realize that that's not okay and apologize to that person, or, be accountable for your words. We're all human. We're all going to make mistakes, but just be responsible by owning that, hey, this is what I did. I'm sorry for saying or doing those things, but you're not saying, what you did was necessarily wrong. You're just saying, like, look, I get that maybe what I said may have offended you, or maybe what I said was hurtful, but that's how I felt in the moment. Maybe that's not how you feel entirely. And it's sometimes you have to evaluate where your thinking may be. At any rate, it allows you to be responsible. The next thing is to stop blaming. So a lot of times is that something happens to us and we sit there and blame other people, or we blame the system, or we blame politics, or we blame our resources. We don't have enough money, or we live in a poor situation. If you don't like where you're at, be responsible for where you're at and change it. If you're not happy or you're lonely and you just want to complain about it, then it's time to do something about it. People would come to me and talk to me about their health. And, I think that's absurd, because I don't really want to have those conversations, because they can come see me about their health and they refuse to. So I'm not going to sit there and listen to them, blame, the weather, blame, this, when they're not really going to look at what's causing it. And so again, that would kind of get into stop complaining. So you want to stop complaining is another issue that we have, is that we sit there and complain. Complain about the weather. We complain about politics. We complain about lack of focus, or complain about our where we are in our life. Okay, so it's really just stopping that and own it. This is where I'm at. This is where I'm going. You need, as we said before, you need to refuse to take anything personally. What other people think, again, is none of my business. What other people think is none of my business. And so what other people say or do to me is about them. It's not about you. If people have issues with their hair or their weight or their diet or whatever they have issues with, they're going to bring it to you, and you just say, thank you for sharing, period. It's rarely ever about you. The other thing about taking responsibility is being responsible for your well-being or your happiness, right? So if you're ill or you're sick, do something about it. Whether you see a doctor or a therapist, a chiropractor, me, whoever, take responsibility for your wellness, but also your mental wellness. If you're not happy where you're at, change it. Sometimes it's difficult, and sometimes maybe it's, not changing the big thing, it's changing a little thing. Maybe it's joining a sporting event that you enjoy, a sporting group, or, it's going out with some guy friends or some lady friends, or watching movies. Other thing about taking responsibility is really being present. So we get stuck again. We talk about our little monkeys, and it keeps us unpresent, and we're not responsible sometimes because you're running an automatic. I'm sure we've all driven where, you go 2 hours and you're like, holy man, we're already here. It just seems like we just left, but you were not present that entire drive. And so it's just being present. So a lot of times when the monkey's going, we're acting in automatic. So, some people can go, the whole, wake up in the morning, they always brush their teeth, they make breakfast, the routine is there that they may not actually have to think until they get to work when someone asks them a question. Everything is so mundane and routine. Be present in those so you can be responsible for those things happening to you in those moments. And it would be very more empowering to have a wonderful day, maybe meet someone on the train or whatever. Use the power of intention. So the power of intention would be to understand you're in the creation mode. You're the creator of your journey again. So create what you want, whether it's journaling or putting a plan in place to where you want to see yourself going. It's not, nothing's ever in concrete. You're not, putting something on the wall and saying this is where I'm going. You can easily change once you make that decision. Other thing would be is to stop judging people and look for the good in people. And that's a simple thing, simple thing to say, hard thing I know to do. But a lot of your judgments are really about yourself. And it's really just realizing that these judgments you're having are not serving you or serving them. And it's really a lot of times your intentions behind the behavior or your feelings is really about you. So if you're judging someone about their weight, again, it's more about you than somebody else. And try to see the good in everything or the good in everybody. Sure, everything could be crappy, but there's something that's good. So focus on those things. Sure, there's going to be a lot of things that people don't like. I've always said when I got married, I said, there's going to be 95% of the things you're going to love in your spouse, and there's going to be 5% you don't. And I just say, I'll put that in my 5%. But sometimes people forget about that and they get hung up on the 5% that's not working. And, it's never as big as the breakup is never as big as what we think. It's not, what they're saying. It's little things that have happened along the way that people weren't ever clear about is creating these judgments and not seeing that good in them. So instead of focusing on that 95%, it's worrying about or complaining about that 5 that isn't working. Anyways, take some of that up. I love to see people being 100% responsible for their life. I know it's hard. I know that this is something I'm working on and continue to work on. And it's always a start. It's always going to be a process. It's always going to be about, challenges, and it's always about you growing. And that's really what it is. So I'm working on to grow, to be a bigger and better person. Not that anything's wrong with me, but I know that I can be a bigger person. Anyways, I'm going to be starting a group on clearing some of that, again, that inner talk about that little monkey that's racing in your head. If you want to be part of that group, send me an email, and we're going to get that out there in the next month to 6 weeks. Anyways, take care. Have a wonderful day. We'll talk again soon. Bye for now.